Hi, my name is Daniel Leonard, and today I will be addressing bullying in middle schools, more specifically providing information gathered from guidance counselors and social workers that work within my district, personal experiences, and strategies that I hope can be implemented in the future to address this issue that is still going on. So, before providing solutions on how to address the issue, what is bullying? Bullying is a repeated aggressive behavior where one student has more power than over another. The key word within my description is the word repeated. That means that when the data is shown or when reporting an incident myself, it cannot just be a one-time thing. This needs to be a pattern of a student being targeted by an individual or individuals over a period of time so that we can define it as bullying. Bullying itself includes either physical aggression, verbal harassment, social exclusion, or cyberbullying outside of school. Those who may be affected from bullying are students who experience anxiety and depression. Their grades can drop. They can miss more school because they're afraid or reluctant to want to attend dealing with these issues. Some groups of students that face a higher risk of bullying are those who appear different from their peers, have disabilities, struggle socially, and belong to minority groups. Now, when researching the data, obviously bullying negatively impacts the victims, but I was more surprised to see the differences in the outcomes or the escalation when there are bystanders present. When bystanders are present and they act not in support of the bully or bullies, but rather in support of the victim, almost all forms of bullying or scenarios where someone is being targeted de-escalate. Unfortunately, in a middle school, the students that I deal with and many other teachers deal with do not know how to react responsibly when they see something going wrong. Maybe some of them are too afraid to step up or speak up. So, part of my interactive uh, solutions is training not just students, but the staff on how to de escalate a situation and act as a correct bystander. So, evidence based prevention strategy one is bystander intervention, like I just mentioned. Again, teaching students how to uh, react. The next strategies are social and emotional learning, which are programs that are in place to teach communication for students, emotional awareness, and conflict resolution. Really piggybacking off the fact that bystanders can make or break a situation, as well as even the victims or those perpetrating the bullying. Understanding how their classmates feel, how they might make other people feel with their actions, and also if there's an issue between two students to come to a resolution together. The next strategy is positive school culture. So this now only goes beyond student on student interaction, but educators, staff, counselors, office workers, administration. If we promote a healthier environment where people are treating each other with respect, that example can move on to the students with each other, hopefully. And not only displaying that between adult to adult, but myself as a teacher treating the students with respect. If there's a conflict between a student and myself, being able to solve that so that they could see a role model acting on that behavior. And the last of, or sorry, not the last of these strategies, but the next one would be restorative practices. Again, focusing on repairing harm and building community rather than punishment alone. If there is an issue and a student is bullying or beginning the pattern of bullying and other students, stepping in and not harshly punishing them to ruin that relationship between myself and the student or the students, but rather work together to a positive solution that they could walk away from and hopefully strengthen their own relationships with one another. Stakeholder insights and prevention efforts that already go on within my school. The guidance counselors and social workers tell me that they try to work together. And when these situations arise, that they meet with students one on one, they make sure that they have enough data to determine the pattern of bullying. They provide many different outlets for students to reach out to, many different solutions or paths to solutions for students, and most importantly, make sure the student doesn't feel alone. Gaps within my school or district's policies is the same, that even though the solutions are in place, the practice isn't followed all the time, or at least as well as we intended it. Solutions for this could be more documentation, better reporting efforts, or instructions for teachers and counselors and students alike, so that we can have more sufficient data on recording bullying within our district rather than it only being by memory or by word of mouth. Um, More programs in place to train students, again, educators, on how to handle these situations. Although we are all adults and we know what bullying is, we do not all handle it correctly or the same way, which can lead to students getting different ideas or perspectives on what can be allowed, cannot be allowed, how to fix a situation, how to make a situation worse. And then, based off of my research, different recommendations for better action within my school district. Step one would be, again, actually submitting a program for students to all be trained on bystander intervention. This would mean teaching all students grades 6 through 8 how to respond to bullying, using real life scenarios students actually encounter, train staff and reinforce these skills. So, again, having assemblies for students or having dedicated time to talk about it within the classroom is great, but also professional development for teachers, whether they are veterans or newly hired like myself. Step two would be, as the stakeholders told me, better tracking of bullying incidents and consistency in how we handle the situation, as well as record and collect our data. So this will start with creating a simple incident report form. That way there's a universal sheet that everyone can fill out. We've started this with referrals already within my school. Use a centralized system to identify patterns. So again, just improving the incident report form, maybe having more categories rather than just saying bullying or cyberbullying or physical or verbal abuse, maybe more specific on what might be said, what might the insults be, or what might the actions be, group, alone, bystanders, no bystanders, reviewing the data monthly or at least every quarter of the school year, so that way we get an accurate form on what's going on, or rechecking it rather than letting it collect dust and then become an issue later down the road. And based on the data, after checking it frequently, adjusting the programs that we have based on what the data is showing for that current school year. And then the last recommendation that I came up with after my interviews with my coworkers, as well as the research, is invest in staff training and program evaluation. Having our administrators or across all the schools come together, but specifically within my middle school, have the APs and the principal come together, have guest speakers come in that, focus on the research here and share their ideas with us, provide professional development opportunities for us to learn preventative strategies. That way, everyone in the school is on board with the same expectations and practice. Give counselors and social workers time to plan and evaluate. So that goes with reporting in the beginning of the year. If we're consistent with reporting these patterns, then they could have time early on to start with the solutions with the victims, or maybe talk to the students who are enacting the bullying and seeing where the problem is stemming from, rather than only being reported later on in the year and there's not enough time or information to correctly address the situation. Create a committee focused on bullying prevention. We have started in my district some clubs or programs ran by counselors or teachers who volunteer, but really strengthening those programs and maybe getting more community outreach with those programs can be a positive result. And also set clear timelines and measure progress of these programs, the PDs, the training for students, the reporting, the data. If we can consistently check it, like I mentioned before, monthly or quarterly throughout the first few years, we could see if this is a good adjustment or not. But in the future, regardless of adjustment, checking to see different school years have different students or different grade levels, and students change all the time. So seeing what's going on currently throughout the day can help. Based on the timeline that I was talking about, checking maybe in the beginning of the school year, August to September, having to train the staff. Checking early in the year, August to September, maybe be the time to train the staff, then allow the program and the training to take place and be implemented from September to the end of the second quarter around January, then take a mid-year PD to address the data that's been collected from the beginning, and then make changes for the rest of the year, and then follow through midway through. And then reiterating some of the same stuff that I said before, the research that I collected shows that effective bullying prevention works. Schools don't need unlimited funding. They need strategic planning, staff training, and a committed building and staff to create a supportive school culture where all students should feel safe and welcomed. That's it.